This week I went to Brookwood Military Cemetery and saw all the graves of so many Canadian and American and Polish soldiers who died during the First and the Second World War, and from many more countries, in fact. And it's a very peaceful cemetery. And when you walk there, you can hardly imagine that something like war is going on somewhere in the world. But it also makes you realize that we all long for a world where war will be no more. And we long for an end to any crisis in the world. We long for a good and peaceful world. And it made me think of the words of the prophet Isaiah, who says in chapter 2 that God will judge between the nations and will settle disputes for many peoples. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. It's hard to believe, but that time is coming according to the prophet Isaiah. And we know from the Bible that there are other things he prophesied which became true in Jesus Christ. So we know that Isaiah's words were truth and they were reliable. Now, when Jesus came, he brought a lot of peace between people and God, and he brought healing in broken situations, and he brought a lot of joy and hope for people. But one day, the whole world will be a paradise again and will be full of peace and healing. Now, in this time of Lent, we are thinking about Jesus' suffering. And it's actually such a deep truth that God came in the person of Jesus and shared our living. He shared our suffering. He knew what it was to be ill. He knew what it was to die. He knew what it was to live in a country that was occupied by the enemy, the Romans in those days. He didn't come into a very peaceful situation, or he was not born in a palace and had a very luxurious life, not at all. Jesus can identify with any kind of suffering we are going through. But through his suffering, something special happened, because we believe that Jesus rose from the dead. He died on the cross and he rose from the dead. And in him, a new future has begun. And you can see that all over the world. There are people who believe in Jesus, and a lot of them are peacemakers. I know there are also people who, in the name of Christianity, did a lot of harm to the world. And there were wars even fought in the name of God. And that is horrible. But I also know of people who were peacemakers. And I know of people who are peacemakers in the name of Jesus, who stand between enemies and try to reconcile them. And in our own lives, Jesus wants to bring peace and healing and hope for the future. And that's what we are looking forward to the time when it becomes true everywhere that nations will not take up sword against nations, nor will they train for war anymore, but there will be peace everywhere. I wish you a very good day. Thank you.